I trusted my brother with my money, the way you trust gravity, to keep your feet on the ground, without thinking, without questioning, until the day you realize you're already falling. The worst part wasn't losing the money. It was learning how easily love can be weaponized. My name is Daniel, and for most of my life, I believed family was the only currency that never depreciated. I grew up in a small Ohio town where everyone knew everyone, and where my older brother, Marcus, was a golden boy. He was 2 years ahead of me, taller, louder, smarter with numbers, and always convincing adults that his ideas were just one step away from success. I was a quieter one, the observer, the kid who followed rules and believed promises meant something. When I was 26, I fell in love with a woman named Elena. She worked the night shift at a diner off Route 40 and had a laugh that sounded like freedom. We didn't have much, but we had plans, marriage, a modest house, maybe kids if we were brave enough. I was working construction during the day and taking night classes in accounting, trying to build something solid. Elena believed in me even when I didn't, and that kind of belief can make you reckless in the best and worst ways. Around that time, Marcus re-entered my life with urgency. He'd been living in Chicago, hustling, as he liked to say, bouncing between startups and side gigs. He called me late one night, voice buzzing with excitement, talking about an investment opportunity, real estate flipping, distressed properties, quick turnarounds. He said he'd learned from mistakes, that he was finally doing things the right way. "You're good with numbers now," he told me. "You'll understand this. We can build something together." Family. The word family landed heavy in my chest. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that the brother who once taught me how to ride a bike and took the blame when I broke a neighbor's window had grown into someone reliable. Elena was cautious. She asked questions I didn't want to answer. What about contracts? Why did he need my money? Why not a bank? I brushed her concerns aside, telling her this was our chance to get ahead, to stop living paycheck to paycheck. I had saved nearly $85,000 over years. Over time, sacrifices, no vacations. It was supposed to be our down payment on a house. Marcus promised returns in 6 months. 6 months turned into excuses. Permits delayed. Contractors bailed. The market shifted. Every time I called, Marcus had a smooth explanation and a reassuring laugh. I kept telling Elena it was temporary, that this was how investments worked. But the tension crept into our home like mold, silent, poisonous. Then the fighting started. Elena accused me of choosing my brother over our future. I accused her of not understanding risk. We said things we couldn't take back. Love doesn't usually explode. It erodes. One night, after another argument, she packed a bag and left to stay with her sister. She said she needed space. I told myself it was just stress. A week later, I discovered the first lie. I tried to access the shared investment account Marcus had set up. The login didn't work. When I finally got in through a recovery process, the balance was almost zero. Not low, gone. Wire transfers, cash withdrawals, transactions I didn't recognize. My hands shook so badly I had to sit on the floor. I called Marcus over and over until he answered, irritated. "Relax," he said. "I moved funds around. It's strategic." That's when I knew. Not suspected, knew. The tone in his voice wasn't confident. It was defensive. I drove to Chicago the next morning, unannounced, heart pounding the entire way. The address he'd given me was an empty office suite. I tracked him down 2 days later through an old friend. Marcus was living in a short-term rental downtown, surrounded by things my money had bought. New furniture, a leased sports car, designer clothes still with tags. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He didn't even apologize. "I needed capital," he said, "and you had it. You'll get it back. Eventually." That was the moment something inside me broke. Not snapped, but collapsed, like a bridge rotting from the inside out. I threatened legal action. He laughed. He reminded me there was no formal contract, that everything was in his company's name. He called it a risk I had agreed to. He called it business. I drove home hollowed out. Elena didn't come back. She said she couldn't rebuild trust with someone who gambled their future on blind faith. She wasn't cruel, just honest. Watching her walk away was worse than losing the money. Months passed. I worked, slept, and existed in a fog of shame. I didn't tell my parents the full truth, only that the investment failed. Marcus stopped calling. Part of me still hoped he'd make it right. Then came the twist I never saw coming. I received a call from a federal investigator. Marcus wasn't just flipping houses. He'd been running a small but sophisticated fraud scheme, using investor money to pay off earlier investors, falsifying property records, laundering funds through shell companies. My money hadn't been mismanaged. It had been stolen as part of crime, and I was listed as a cooperating witness. The investigation uncovered something else: documents with my forged signature used to secure additional funds, loans taken out in my name, debt I didn't know existed. In one brutal instant, I went from victim to suspect. I spent the next year in interviews, courtrooms, and sleepless nights. My credit was destroyed. My reputation took hits I couldn't offend against. Friends kept their distance. Family gatherings became unbearable. My own parents struggled to reconcile the sons they thought they knew with the reality unfolding in front of them. Marcus was eventually arrested. When I saw him in court, stripped of confidence, eyes darting like a trapped animal, I felt no satisfaction, just grief. He was sentenced to 8 years. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. While reviewing case files, I learned Elena had unknowingly helped expose Marcus's operation months earlier. She'd reported suspicious financial documents she found when Marcus briefly used a laptop to print something at our place. That tip helped federal agents connect dots faster. She never told me, not out of spite, but because she didn't want to be involved in my family's collapse. That knowledge shattered me. The woman I pushed away had been quietly doing the right thing while I defended the wrong person. We spoke once after the trial. It was kind, distant, and final. Some love doesn't come back, even when the truth arrives. Today, I'm rebuilding slowly. I live smaller. I trust carefully. I read every line before I sign anything. I've learned that love without boundaries isn't loyalty, it's exposure. And blood doesn't make someone safe. The lesson I carry is simple but costly. Trust is not owed, even to family. It is earned, protected, and verified. If you ignore that truth, the price won't just be money. It will be pieces of your life you can never get back.